In the unforgiving heart of the North Atlantic during winter, circa 1000 CE, monstrous waves, colossal in size, relentlessly hammered a Viking longship. The frigid air, a biting testament to the season, drove temperatures far below freezing. Ice, a crystalline armor, began to encase the ship's rigging, transforming ropes into frozen sculptures. Beards of the hardy Viking crew froze solid, becoming icy extensions of their faces, while their breath, escaping their lips, instantly crystallized in the Arctic air, forming ephemeral clouds that vanished as quickly as they appeared. For weeks, these intrepid seafarers endured conditions that would spell certain doom for a modern individual within mere hours. Their vessel offered no respite from the elements. There was no cozy cabin to retreat to, no sheltering walls to ward off the relentless cold, only the vast, open expanse of the unforgiving ocean and the ever-present threat of hypothermia. Most astonishingly, these Vikings embarked on these perilous voyages without the means to create fire. A seemingly indispensable tool, fire provided warmth, cooked food, and a psychological comfort against the darkness and the unknown. Yet, the Vikings sailed without it. How, then, did these Viking crews manage to survive extended voyages across some of the most treacherous waters on Earth, devoid of any onboard heating? The answer to this question is not only surprising, but will completely overturn conventional understandings of Viking maritime prowess. Excavations conducted at 8 significant Viking ship sites have unearthed a rather shocking truth. Contrary to popular belief, Vikings never heated their ships. No braziers, no hearths, no open flames of any kind flickered aboard these vessels. This wasn't due to a lack of knowledge or primitive technology. Rather, it was a deliberate and calculated engineering decision that placed safety above comfort. The strategies they employed were so remarkably effective that they facilitated the conquest of nations and the discovery of new continents, feats that cemented their place in history. Their story begins with a fundamental maritime reality, a truth that Hollywood often gets egregiously wrong. Fire and wooden ships are mortal enemies, an explosive combination that could lead to devastating consequences. When you're sailing in a vessel crafted entirely from pine, oak, and tarred rope, a single stray spark poses more than just a minor inconvenience. It risks the very existence of the ship, the lives of the crew, and the success of the entire voyage. But how can we be so sure that Vikings truly sailed without fire? The answer lies in the ships themselves, silent witnesses to history, preserved for 1,000 years, patiently awaiting the opportunity to tell their stories. The most compelling evidence comes from the Roskilde Fjord in Denmark, where the remnants of the famed Skjaldelef ships lay hidden for nearly a millennium, concealed beneath the waves. These 5 Viking vessels, consisting of warships, cargo carriers, and fishing boats, dating back to the period between 1000 and 1070 CE, underwent meticulous excavation by the dedicated team at the Viking Ship Museum. The archaeologists unearthed a wealth of artifacts, from water barrels to tool chests, ballast stones to even trace amounts of preserved food. Yet, amidst this treasure trove of historical relics, one striking absence made the researchers pause and double-check their findings. Across all 5 vessels, representing a diverse range of ship types and functions, not a single piece of heating apparatus was found. No brazier, no hearth, absolutely nothing that could have served as a source of heat. This pattern of absence consistently reappears at every major Viking ship discovery site. The Oseberg ship, dating back to 834 CE, contained elaborate cooking vessels, but these were determined to be burial goods intended for use in the afterlife and were never utilized at sea. The Gokstad ship, built around 890 CE, boasted massive water storage systems, yet lacked any form of cooking facilities. Even the more recent excavation at Gjellestad in 2020 to 2021, utilizing advanced ground-penetrating radar and state-of-the-art scanning techniques, failed to uncover any cooking or heating apparatus. The Viking sagas, epic tales of adventure and heroism, corroborate this pattern. Norwegian legal texts, carefully preserved within the Gragas law codes, mandated 3 daily shore trips for ship's cooks, one for the essential task of water collection and two for the preparation of meals. The Erbygja saga recounts the drawing of lots to determine who would be responsible for preparing food for the ship's crew. However, it's crucial to note that these accounts refer to shore-based food preparation, not cooking performed on board the vessel. Therefore, the evidence strongly suggests that Vikings did not employ fire at sea. But why would they willingly endure such brutal cold, rather than take the risk of even a carefully controlled flame? The answer lies in the terrifying reality of fire aboard wooden ships, a prospect that filled Viking seafarers with dread. Viking vessels employed clinker-built construction, a technique involving overlapping planks sealed with tar to create a watertight hull. The gaps between the planks were meticulously stuffed with animal hair and wool for added insulation, while the rigging was waterproofed with pine pitch, a highly flammable substance. The sail itself, densely woven from wool and treated with animal fat for water resistance, was essentially a massive torch waiting to be ignited by a single spark. However, the most significant danger stemmed from the open design of Viking ships. Unlike later vessels with enclosed decks, Viking ships were essentially enormous open boats, lacking any form of internal compartmentalization. They had no bulkheads, no fire breaks, and no way to contain a blaze once it had started. Maritime archaeology studies have shown that a fire under such conditions could consume an entire vessel in under 4 minutes, leaving the crew with little to no chance of survival. The very construction of these ships made onboard fires an extremely dangerous scenario. Every surface contained highly flammable materials, creating a tinderbox effect. Physical remains from all major excavations reveal a complete absence of fire-resistant installations, metal hearths, or any protective systems that would have enabled safe shipboard heating. For the Vikings, fire on a ship meant almost certain destruction. If Vikings couldn't use fire and were trapped on frozen seas for weeks without heat, how did they manage to survive? The answer lies in a remarkable transformation in their perception of warmth itself, a complete rethinking of how to stay alive in the face of the elements. Archaeological textile evidence from sites like Herjolfsson in Greenland reveals the existence of sophisticated layered clothing systems, meticulously designed to retain warmth even when wet, a critical advantage over many modern materials. Vikings developed different grades of wool, each tailored to specific functions, such as wind resistance, insulation, and moisture management. Perhaps the most remarkable discovery comes from preserved clothing finds and saga descriptions, which reveal that Vikings practiced daily sleeve modifications for maximum heat retention. According to the Laxdala saga, women crew members would use bone needles and waxed thread to seal men's sleeves tight at the wrists each morning. These sleeves were not tied or buttoned, but sewn shut, creating an airtight seal that prevented heat loss. Before engaging in combat or landing on shore, warriors would cut themselves free with their Sikh's knives. This daily ritual wasn't merely a matter of convenience, it was part of a revolutionary textile technology that maximized warmth and efficiency. Greenlandic burial sites have yielded specialized winter garments, crafted from sealskin outer layers specifically designed for maritime crews, fur-lined clothing made from wolf and bear pelts, and tangible evidence of this sleeve modification practice in preserved garments. The layering system was far more sophisticated than modern understanding might suggest. Each layer worked synergistically to create what researchers now call a portable microclimate, a bubble of warmth that surrounded the wearer, protecting them from the harsh elements. However, even this advanced clothing couldn't preserve body heat during long hours of sleep. That's when Vikings deployed their most ingenious innovation, a technique that defied the solitary image often portrayed in Hollywood depictions. Forget the image of Vikings wrapped in individual furs, each huddled in their own private space. The reality was far more intimate and effective. Vikings employed communal sleeping systems, meticulously documented in numerous saga sources. The Egil saga describes shared sleeping arrangements, utilizing what the sagas referred to as waterproof skin bags, likely the Hudfat mentioned in the Prose Edda. These were essentially two-person sleeping bags made of sheepskin with a fleece still attached, designed not for privacy, but for survival. Two bodies confined within an insulated space generated compound heat, creating a synergistic effect. The bags could maintain internal temperatures 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the outside air, using only body heat as the source of warmth. Winter campsites bear witness to the fact that these weren't luxury items for the elite, but standard maritime equipment essential for survival. Crews were assigned sleeping partners based on their watch schedules, as documented in the Landnamebook. When one sailor was on watch, his body heat would warm the shared space, providing a crucial advantage for his sleeping partner. When they switched shifts, the second man entered an already warm environment, minimizing the shock of the cold. The sleeping area never cooled completely, providing a constant source of warmth and comfort. The sleeping arrangement itself showcased thermal genius. Ship reconstructions indicate that crews slept between the rowing benches on platforms created from stored oars, staying above the coldest air that settled in the bilge of the ship. The sail, when lowered, became a tent that covered the entire vessel, trapping the warm air generated by dozens of bodies, further increasing the overall temperature. Even wealthy Vikings shared these communal arrangements. Ship leaders received no special heating privileges. Survival requirements overrode social distinctions during voyages, emphasizing the collective need for warmth and safety. But maintaining body heat in such conditions required an enormous caloric intake, necessitating food that could be consumed without cooking. Vikings consumed preserved food specifically designed for cold consumption, a fact meticulously documented across numerous trading post-excavations. Sites in Hedeby have revealed the preparation techniques employed to create these sustaining provisions. Dried fish, meticulously prepared to remain edible for months, ship's biscuits, baked into hardtack that could withstand the rigors of sea travel, nut bread fortified with calories and designed to resist spoilage from salt spray, and cold porridge systems prepared before departure, all formed the cornerstone of the Viking diet at sea. The porridge system, described in the Icelandic saga, was particularly ingenious. Cooks would prepare massive quantities of porridge, adding generous amounts of butter and salt for preservation. This mixture would then congeal into a nutrient-dense paste that could be eaten directly or mixed with cold water, providing a quick and easy source of energy. These provisions supplied the 2,000 to 3,000 calories per day that were essential for cold weather survival, providing the fuel necessary to maintain body temperature and perform demanding physical tasks. Excavations at the York site showcase the sheer scale of this provisioning effort. Massive stores of dried fish, hardtack biscuits, and fermented dairy products, designed for extended voyages without cooking, were unearthed, providing tangible evidence of the Vikings' meticulous planning and resourcefulness. But where did Vikings develop such sophisticated systems for cold weather survival? The answer lies in their extensive infrastructure on land, a network of resources that supported their maritime endeavors. Vikings weren't perpetually at sea. Recent coastal surveys have uncovered extensive harbor networks, strategically located to facilitate regular shore stops. Over 200 documented sites, stretching from Norway to Newfoundland, have been identified by the Viking Ship Museum's Coastal Archaeology project. The true scale of these operations only became clear with modern excavations. Research conducted at Torksey, England, by the Universities of Sheffield and York from 2009 to 2017 revealed the true nature of these bases. They were essentially winter camps, spanning over 55 hectares, equipped with proper hearth systems, workshops, and family accommodations. These heating stations supported entire fleet operations, providing opportunities for essential warming and food preparation that were simply impossible at sea. On land, Vikings possessed complex cooking technology, but archaeological evidence shows that it was never transferred to ships due to the inherent safety risks. These digs have uncovered riveted iron pots with integrated tripod systems, specialized suspension chains for hearth cooking, and soapstone vessels known for their superior thermal properties. These systems were utilized exclusively during beached operations, providing a stark contrast to the conditions aboard ship. Viking longhouse designs, as evidenced by sites like Borg and the Lofoten Islands, demonstrate an advanced understanding of airflow patterns, smoke evacuation, and efficient central hearth placement. Yet, these innovations never appeared in shipboard applications due to fundamental safety constraints. Vikings possessed the technology for shipboard heating, but they deliberately chose not to use it, prioritizing safety over comfort and recognizing the inherent dangers of fire on a wooden vessel. But why choose calculated discomfort when other cultures found heating solutions? While Vikings sailed without fire, Mediterranean cultures had developed onboard cooking systems by 600 CE. Roman naval archaeology has revealed ships equipped with bronze braziers and specialized charcoal stoves. Byzantine vessels included dedicated galley areas with chimney systems and proper ventilation, all meticulously documented through underwater excavations in the Mediterranean. Vikings weren't unique among Northern Europeans in avoiding shipboard fires. Anglo-Saxon and Frisian maritime archaeology, studied extensively by researchers at Cambridge and Groningen universities, reveals nearly identical patterns. No shipboard heating systems, a reliance on cold provisions, and shore-based cooking strategies were the norm. However, Mediterranean innovations didn't transfer northward due to differences in construction methods and climate priorities. The enclosed nature of Mediterranean vessels allowed for the safer use of fire, while the colder climate of the North Atlantic necessitated different survival strategies. Vikings made a calculated trade-off. Eliminating heating equipment saved valuable cargo capacity and achieved superior speed, critical advantages for both raiding and hasty escapes. Could modern sailors survive the same conditions using authentic Viking methods? Modern experimental archaeology confirms that Viking techniques are not only viable, but remarkably effective. The 2007 Sea Stallion voyage from Roskilde to Dublin, using an authentic Sculdalef reconstruction, proved that properly equipped crews utilizing historical methods can survive extended cold water sailing without any heating systems. The expedition, documented by the Viking Ship Museum, demonstrated that shared sleeping arrangements, communal clothing maintenance, and coordinated watch rotations were absolutely critical for cold weather survival. The combination of appropriate wool clothing, social warming techniques, and weather management kept crew core body temperatures in safe ranges, even during North Sea crossings under challenging conditions. However, the physical systems required psychological support strategies that proved equally important for survival. Evidence from over 50 Viking camps has revealed the presence of more than 300 gaming pieces, dice, board games, and carved entertainment items. According to researchers at the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo, crews invested significant time in social activities during harsh conditions. These weren't mere entertainment. They were deliberate psychological strategies that complemented physical warming techniques. Gaming, storytelling, and organized competition helped crews endure discomfort by maintaining morale and fostering a sense of camaraderie. Vikings understood intuitively that mental state directly affected physical endurance, a concept we now recognize as psychological thermogenesis, the ability to generate warmth through mental focus and positive emotions. Strategic voyage planning also minimized psychological stress. Vikings generally avoided winter sailing entirely, operating within carefully calculated weather windows that made survival achievable rather than a heroic feat of endurance. They timed voyages to follow seasonal patterns, maximizing shore contact rather than enduring endless cold exposure. The Vikings conquered the North Atlantic not despite their lack of shipboard heating, but because of their decision to reject it entirely. Archaeological evidence from 8 major excavations definitively establishes that Vikings did not heat their ships during voyages. This wasn't a technological limitation, it was a calculated safety engineering choice. Vikings prioritized vessel integrity and crew survival over onboard comfort. Their remarkable success stemmed from sophisticated non-heating strategies, advanced wool technology that functioned when wet, ingenious social warming systems utilizing shared body heat, strategic voyage planning with extensive shore-based infrastructure, and comprehensive provisioning systems designed for cold consumption. Rather than depicting them as hardy warriors enduring constant harsh conditions, a more accurate portrayal of Vikings would be as strategic maritime engineers who developed sustainable solutions for cold weather navigation. They balance mobility, safety, and crew welfare through careful planning and innovative social cooperation, not brute endurance. Vikings reached North America 500 years before Columbus. They established trade routes from Greenland to Constantinople. They shaped medieval Europe through maritime dominance. They achieved it all in open boats, deliberately choosing to sail without fire. When winter wind cuts through your modern jacket, when you instinctively reach for your car's heater, remember that Viking sailors made the conscious decision to reject such comfort. They chose strategic capability over warmth, operational safety over individual ease, and collective survival over personal comfort. Vikings didn't just endure the cold. They systematically transformed their entire approach to survive and thrive within it. They restructured their social systems around it. They reimagined what was possible within its constraints. In the end, Vikings didn't need to heat their ships because they had learned something far more powerful: how to heat themselves through cooperation, planning, and sheer strategic brilliance. And in that transformation, from comfort-dependent land dwellers to cold-adapted maritime warriors, they became unstoppable.